Hi, this is Cath King from Seeking Health, and today is the final episode in my protein myth series. Over the past few weeks I've discussed some of the myths surrounding protein, including that protein is the most important nutrient, that the more protein the better, that plants have no protein and that plant protein is incomplete, and I've given you the science behind protein. And today I'd like to finish off by discussing the myth that animal protein is superior to plant protein, as well as to talk about the protein needs of athletes. Now, there are some important differences between protein obtained from animal sources and protein obtained from plant sources. So, animal protein is more acidic. It has a lot of sulfur-based acids. It's very concentrated, too concentrated for us. It's a form of globular protein, and if you recall back to some of my other earlier protein presentations, you'll remember that globular protein has got all of the amino acids joined together, and our body needs to actually break those bonds apart before it can actually use it. So there's an extra step there for using globular protein. Animal protein comes with saturated fat, cholesterol, pesticides, heavy metals, and hormones. Plant protein is very alkaline. It is less it's less concentrated, so we don't have that danger of getting too much protein. It comes in the form of individual amino acids, and it comes complete with things like fiber, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. And these differences mean that plant protein is far more gentle on your body and your digestive system. It's alkaline forming in our body, and also as animal protein is more concentrated, the chances are that you're probably eating too much protein if you rely on animal sources to obtain it. Now, our bodies can't store excess protein, and so it has to eliminate it, and as the liver breaks down excess animal protein, it releases toxic wastes due to its acidic nature, things like urea, ammonia, and amino acid fragments. And these wastes make their way to the kidneys for elimination, and in order for our kidneys to deal with these toxins and keep our blood at the correct pH needed to live, it requires alkaline minerals. And luckily we have huge stores of an alkaline mineral, namely calcium, in our bones. So what happens when we eat animal protein is that our body yanks calcium out of our bones, and this is a very well documented condition known as protein-induced hypercalciuria, which just means too much calcium going out in the urine. And so diets high in animal protein will cause a negative calcium balance even in the presence of more than adequate calcium intake. And what that means is that osteoporosis is not so much a disease of calcium deficiency, but of protein excess. And this is why throughout the world, the incidence of osteoporosis correlates directly with the protein intake. World Health statistics show that osteoporosis is most common in exactly those countries where meat and dairy products are consumed in the highest quantities, and that includes New Zealand. The quality of and our requirement for protein depends on several factors. So for instance, on heating, which can considerably lower the quality of protein. So if we use meat as our source of protein, heating destroys some of the essential amino acids needed for building enzymes in healthy tissue. And cooking can destroy or denature 40 to 85% of the available protein in most food. Now, it probably isn't acceptable to eat raw meat to avoid these deteriorations, but eating other raw foods, plant foods, contributes to reducing the total need for protein. The world's largest land animals are raw vegans. So instead of worrying about getting enough protein, we should really be worried about what the excess of animal protein is doing to our long-term health. By eliminating animal protein in our diet and relying on green leafy vegetables, beans, pulses, grains, nuts and seeds for our protein requirements, we can not only get enough quality protein to meet our body's immediate needs, but also protect ourselves from many so-called normal age-related degenerative diseases that I've shown in past presentations are caused by animal foods. Okay, so what about athletes? Now, some athletes that I've come across will eat in excess of 200 grams of protein a day. They use things like whey protein shakes and protein bars to supplement a diet that's already high in animal flesh and eggs. And when you eat whey protein, it pokes holes in your kidneys from all the acid that the kidneys have to deal with from consuming the whey protein. And it's like a protein mania, and it's reached the stage where really healthy-minded people, not just athletes, they've bought into this high protein myth with protein shakes and bars being really popular, things that have a long shelf life. And that's really interesting because we've been convinced that we need these things, and yet even the stupidest bacteria won't touch them. It's all about the shelf life of the product. So how much protein do athletes actually need? And the maximum increase in muscle mass for a bodybuilder per day is 10 grams, and most of that gain would be made up of water weight. But if we're really generous and say that we would increase that the increase is all protein, then if we do the maths, it looks kind of like this. So remember in the second video we talked about obligatory protein as the amount you need each day to replace the amount of protein we lose, and that was 25 to 30 grams a day. And if we add in a 5 gram safety margin, that takes us to 35 grams of protein a day. And if you're adding the maximum amount of muscle that a human being can add per day, you would need another 10 grams. So that altogether you would need to consume 45 grams of protein a day. And that's actually the minimum recommended daily amount of protein anyway. And most strict vegans get about 60 grams per day. And by sticking to an 80-10-10 diet, I get about 50 grams a day, and I still manage to do things like tramping, I go running, biking, I do yoga, Pilates, and strength training throughout the week. And this is a picture here you can see of a vegan bodybuilder, and I can't actually remember his name. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the comments down below. So there are many high-level athletes who get their protein from plant sources. And here's just two of them, Brazier and Madi Serpico. And there are many, many more. So the next time someone asks you where you get your protein, you'll know that the best response to give them is, how do you avoid getting too much? Anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you haven't watched the other videos in this series, I encourage you to go back and watch them. If you have any questions, please ask them below. And if you want more information about vegan diets and your health, check out my website and don't forget to subscribe. If you've found this series of presentations helpful, please give my videos a thumbs up. And I will see you next time with a whole new topic. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.